Hey there, folks. Zane from the Infinite Jukebox, aka the #1 Circuit fan, here with another quick album review. And today I wanted to talk about the Sawtooth Grin EP, Jabberwocky. Anything even remotely inspired by Lewis Carroll will grab my attention, and anything by the Sawtooth Grin will grab my attention. So here we are. This basically was one of the first things that I wanted to listen to the second I found out this even came out. While 2001's Cuddle Monster is a cult classic within the realm of mathcore, I would say that it was with their 2022 sophomore studio album, Good, that the Sawtooth Grin ensured that they were permanently in the spotlight, at least within specific, admittedly pretty dorky circles. I mean, Good was an excellent return for a criminally underrated band that were at one point considered one-album wonders, with people rarely discussing the EP that they put out a decade afterwards, but we'll get to that in a second. And as a whole, it just ensured that more strong material would be coming from this band in the future, after an extended period of time where people assumed that they were never going to put out any music ever again. With that being said, as a Sawtooth Grin fan, as someone who is willing to hype them up to people who aren't into them, willing to cover them on this channel because I want to platform them even with my small audience, I don't think anyone was prepared for what Jabberwocky is, because this is their first EP since 2011's Pervivore, a very good EP, might I clarify. This is insane, violent, deranged, psychotic, insert other adjective for a serial arsonist here. Through the brief 11-ish minutes and 4 tracks of Jabberwocky, the Sawtooth Grin leave behind the most violent performances that they've ever delivered throughout their entire career, and what I genuinely believe to be the best EP of the year so far. Opening with the track Brown Recluse, the EP immediately defines itself as this unstoppable force, with Richard Lombardi's spine-chilling screeches throughout that track, as well as Jason Springman's precise yet very aggressive style of guitar work that definitely leans more into the mathcore side of, well, mathcore, but I'm certainly not complaining. They both sound phenomenal here. Lombardi's voice especially shines in moments where he sort of dials things back just for a brief second or two before kicking back into his giant presence, again, a lot of these massive screams, and in those moments there's kind of this revelation, this sort of look at the human being behind the monster presence that you get from most Sawtooth Grin records before kicking right back into the absolutely devastating vocal performances that he is generally capable of, and I really love those moments. It adds a huge amount of personality to the record, despite making up like 0.1% of it. Elsewhere, on my personal favorite track, A Cloud, A Cauldron, A Colony, the rhythm section of bassist DJ Scully and drummer John Carell really get to shine, with some absolutely crushing percussion from Carell and some pounding bass work from DJ Scully that really shines here on that track in particular, and adds this extra degree of oomph to it, just a real punch that I think would be lacking without it. And in some brief runtime, you even get a fair bit of variety. The EP closes out with the track The Meadow, which is a song that begins with this peculiar, oddly lo-fi, semi-spoken word ramble that I don't think we've ever really properly seen from the Sawtooth Grin, in this particular context at least, before evolving into something that's more expected mathcore, but with some guitar work that's especially angular and kind of avant-garde, or leaning towards the realm of avant-garde at the very least, even by this band's standards, which are pretty aggressive and out there at times. I especially love some of the final moments of The Meadow because it really does feel like it's just a touch sharper, maybe even just a touch more violent than their already very violent material. I don't know if you know this, but the Sawtooth Grin are a pretty aggressive band if you can't tell. I mean, the way that The Meadow kicks off with this sort of step back really kind of takes the listener back as well. You don't expect it, especially not from a band of the Sawtooth Grin's caliber, of their style, before eventually jumping back into the sonic excess that you do expect from them. But by that point, it feels like a genuine surprise. Not really a jump scare or anything like that, but definitely a moment that catches you off guard and reminds you about why they are seen as such a volatile band in the first place from a musical standpoint. Look, Jabberwocky is amazing, but this is more than just a great EP from a criminally underrated band. This is one of the best releases in general that extreme music as a whole, extreme punk, extreme metal, extreme hardcore, whatever you want to consider it, one of the best releases of any kind, full length or EP, like this one is, that Extreme Music has seen in the, I'll say a while, past like half a year, maybe even past a year, and easily the best EP of the year up to this point, and I would be shocked if anything dethroned this throughout the rest of 2024. I do think the Sawtooth Grin have always been very underappreciated for their unrelenting intensity as a band and their unrelenting willingness to just be completely violent from a sonic standpoint, not really shying away from venturing into the realm of almost pure noise at times, but Jabberwocky manages to outdo almost everything that they've done in the past. And that's not saying that what they've done in the past is weak. That's testament to just how mind-blowing this EP can be. And I rarely say that about EPs. Listen, I don't cover EPs a lot on this channel, and I want to clarify this to anyone who might have not seen my videos before. Not because I don't listen to EPs, not because I don't review EPs, but just because of the fact that I don't have enough to say about EPs most of the time, and that's maybe my fault because I don't have enough ideas to really convey for the sake of a short review, let alone a full-length 15 to 20 minute review. But really, most EPs, even the ones I really love, don't have enough for me to cover to warrant a full-length review. That's why they end up in my Rapid Record Recap series where I go over things for like a minute a pop. That's where most EPs end up. But Jabberwocky is different, because this is an EP that managed to blow me away from the perspective of being a Sawtooth Grin fan, managed to blow me away from the perspective of, being a heavy music fan, and it managed to blow me away from the perspective of thinking that an EP may very well be one of, if not the best thing I've heard through the entire year so far. In all seriousness, though, unless you are totally against heavier music, then you need to hear this. Even if you've never bothered with the Sawtooth Grin before, you go listen to it now. I'll know if you didn't. I'm watching you. I'm in your walls. Please let me out of your walls. It's dark and I'm hungry. Look, Jabberwocky, as an EP, may have a runtime of barely double digits, but this is still the Sawtooth Grin taking things to the next level, and I don't know what their plans for the future are, but if they put out a full-length studio album that's the same degree of quality as this, then I won't be surprised if it makes my top 5 at the end of the year, or any given year that record hypothetically would drop. And as a whole, I genuinely won't be surprised if this ends up in my, say, top 30 EPs of the 2020s when that time inevitably comes, because let's face it, I have no life. I'm going to be here in 2030 talking about the top 200 best albums of the 2020s, the top 100 EPs of the 2020s. I've got nothing better to do. What do you think? I'm going to have a wife and kids by then? Please. Really, though, just an amazing EP. Go check it out. I'm going to give this EP 4.5 stars out of 5. And with that being said, that's the end of this quick EP review. I have been Zane from the Infinite Jukebox. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.